Batteries, splitters, generators, power cells, wind turbines, extenders. If it all sounds confusing, don't worry, you're in the right place. Power doesn't have to be difficult in Astroneer, and in 5 simple chapters I'll take you through everything you need to know about it. So let's start with chapter 1. How power works. Power goes in 3 simple steps: generate, store, and use. So the first thing you need to do is generate power, and we'll go into the full list of power generators in the next chapter. But for right now, this is what you need to know. You need an item that produces power. Then you can either use that power as it's being produced at the exact same time, or if you need to use it later, then you're gonna have to store power, and that's done using batteries. You will know how much power you need and how much power you have by looking at the gauges on every single platform. This shows you how much power you're making relative to what you need. When you add more things that use power, this is gonna go down, and when you add more power items, it's gonna go up. If it's in the middle, that means you're producing as much power as you're using. If it's all the way up, that means you're doing great and everything works even faster than usual. It still uses all your power, but it works twice as fast. And if it's below that, it will start working slower. Now, if it's all the way down and it's flashing red, that's a problem. That means you don't have power. So just keep an eye on this and adjust your power levels accordingly. Great, now that we know how it works, let's go into chapter 2, producing power. You can produce power with a bunch of different items, so you're gonna have to choose which one's best for you. At the beginning, obviously, you can get power through shelters. The field shelter produces 0.5 units per second, and the normal shelter produces 1 unit per second. Now, you won't be crafting a bunch of shelters just to give you power, that's not the point, but you will have a little bit of power whenever you start off with a shelter. Then you're definitely gonna need more power than that, so you're gonna start building the power items. First up, solar power. You can get the small solar panel, the medium solar panel, the large solar panel, or the solar array. Each one of these produces a different amount of power, but be careful, solar power only works during the day. You will not get any power from these at night. And another thing that's often overlooked, these produce different power depending on the planet. So take a look at the planet you're going to, you can see it in the Astropedia, and look at its solar power. It can vary from very low all the way to very high. Let's take the example of the medium solar panel. On the item, it shows 4 units per second. That's what it produces when the sun is out. But you need to take into account the planet you're on, because that is the medium production. For example, if you go to Glacio and build a medium solar panel, you are only gonna get 1 unit per second. That's because sun power is very low on Glacio. Now, if you go to Calidor, you will get 7 units per second because sun power is very high on Calidor. And all the other planets have a specific sun rating, so make sure to do your research before building 100 of these in your base. Don't ask me how I know that. Now, there's one extra solar item, but you cannot craft this one. That's the wrecked solar array. At medium, it produces 64 units per second, which is amazing. If you go to Calidor, for example, where it's very high, you're gonna produce 112 units per second. That's huge. But you might be wondering, okay, so what am I doing at night? I have no solar power at night. Well, that's where wind power comes in. You've got the small wind turbine, the medium wind turbine, the large wind turbine, and the extra large wind turbine. Yes, they were really creative with the names here, but the point is you can only get power from these while there's wind. And the wind, from what I understand, is just random. You don't know when it's gonna be windy and when it's not gonna be windy. So these might seem a little bit less reliable than the solar panels, because at least you know when the sun is out and when it's not. But if you use both types together, solar and wind, you're basically gonna have power almost all the time, except for when there's no wind at night. That's a bit of a problem, but we'll solve it in the next chapter. Until we get there though, you should know that planets don't have different wind. Yes, that's crazy. I always thought Glacio had higher winds because you can hear it a little bit louder on Glacio, but apparently it doesn't produce more power. I think it used to be just like the solar power in the past, but now whenever a wind turbine is spinning, it just produces that same amount of power. And planets that have a higher wind rating, I think it just means it's windy more often. So the wind isn't actually higher. It will never produce more or less than the medium units per second. It will just produce it more often or less often. Don't you think that's weird? I think that's weird. But let's move on to generators. You've got your small generator and the medium generator. Obviously the small one uses organic and the medium one uses carbon, which is still made from organic, but we'll talk more about how you can use these generators for infinite power generation in chapter 5. So let's stick to some other infinite power items, the RTG and the QT RTG. The RTG produces 4 units per second and it's just constant power. It doesn't matter if it's windy or not, if the sun is out or not, nothing matters. If you've got an RTG, you're getting 4 units per second, no matter what planet you're on, it's 4 units. And then the QT RTG is the same thing but smaller, and this produces 1 unit per second. The advantage of the QT RTG is that you can have it in your backpack, and I use it all the time. Okay, I think you're ready for chapter 3, storing power. You can only store power using batteries. Well, you can also store power in a buggy, a tractor, a medium rover, a large rover, and even a backpack. But why would you do that? Don't do that, okay? Please don't do that. I know they are listed on the Astroneer wiki alongside the batteries. Just don't. You've got the batteries. That's enough. So there are 3 different types of batteries: small, medium, and large. Again, they're getting extremely creative with the names. I don't know where they come up with these, but here it goes. The small battery holds 32 units. It's not a lot, but you can fit it in your backpack so you can take it along for the journey if you're doing something, I don't know. The medium battery holds 512 units, and with the latest Astroneer update, they just made the medium battery useless. Basically, you can use it mid-game for like a couple hours until you get the large battery. You don't need the medium battery anymore, that's what I'm saying. Just get some more bytes and unlock the large one. And that gets us to the last type of battery, the large battery. This is actually the newest item in Astroneer. It was introduced with the last update, and this one holds 8,192 units. Yes, that's the equivalent of 16 medium batteries, and no, it doesn't cost 16 times what the medium battery does, it just costs 1 extra lithium. I have multiple videos just on the large battery, they're on the channel, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see them, I guess. And let's move on to chapter 4, other power items. I just grouped all of the other power items in one thing, and these are not power producers, these are not used to store power, these are simply things that help you out with your power system. So first up, power cells. You can get these using graphite, so they're pretty cheap, and you can get graphite at the cell centrifuge. These are basically used for when you're in a pinch and just need a little bit of power. This is a consumable. You can place it on your base and it's just gonna send power to it, or you can hold it in your backpack and use the power it produces. It's a one-time use item, so it will just disappear when it's depleted, but it does save you in a pinch. If you're stuck in the caves or something, just find some graphite and get some power cells. Next up, the power sensor. This one's used for automation. You can just, you send power through it. Let's just connect it to these batteries here, and you can set it to send a signal. This thing sends the signal, and you can cycle it through 3 different modes: power gained or lost, power gained, or power lost. Then here's a battery sensor. You can put this on a battery like that, and you can cycle through different modes here as well: charged or empty, charged or not charged, or empty or not empty. So those are the modes you've got, and whenever one of those things happen, it will send a signal. The next item is the power extenders, and stop using them on the ground. Just put them up here, and you can just press C or V, do it like that. You can also drag the thing, and it's straight up just connected. You can use it similar to tethers. Back in the day, like a couple years ago, I used to just put them on the ground and do that and then connect it, and it's just a waste of time. Don't do that. Okay, so I mentioned the power switch earlier, but you can use this to shut off power to a thing. So look at that, this section with the automated trade platform is getting power now, but if I turn this off, it's not getting power anymore, so it just stops working, and I can just turn it on whenever I want. I can also link a sensor to it to automatically turn it on and off when something happens, whatever you want to happen. So yeah, that's also pretty useful. And the last one before we get to the infinite power chapter is the splitter. You can use this to split power, so you can have power coming in like that and then that way. So we've got power coming in and it splits it into 2 right here. You can also set how much power to send in each direction. So the total power coming in, you can see right now it's 276 from this platform. So I can set it to go 0 on one side and all of it on the other. You can see it stopped for this auto arm right here. I can set it the complete other way and it stops for the other one. This helps you not waste a bunch of power, because if you don't use splitters and just have a platform going 2 ways, it splits it half and half, and maybe one side of your base needs a lot more power. One extra tip, this visually shows you how much power goes to each section, so you can quickly remember what you did and what you set it to. But now that we are done with the power items, let's talk about some infinite power generation. That's chapter 5, automated power farms. And as I said earlier, you're gonna use generators for this. So if you would kindly join me over here, this is how tappers work. You plant a seed, You wait for it to grow, and I'm not gonna wait for that to grow. I'm actually just gonna do the same thing just on this side. This is already grown, so let's take this tapper off. Let's say you had the patience for your seed to grow. You can then place a tapper on it, just like that, toggle it on, and this is producing organic. Pretty easy, right? Now, why would you want organic? First of all, why not? And second of all, because it's used in generators. You can then either smelt it into carbon or use it just like that. You can automatically grab your organic from that and just place it on small generators, and each one of these generators produces 2 units per second. I just have 4 of them right here, but you can do 100, 200, whatever you want. It depends on how much power you need. And then when you're ready to get an upgrade from this, you can go to the medium generators, which do cost a little bit more to craft. It's 1 tungsten and 1 aluminum for a medium generator, but it produces a lot more power and it uses carbon, which is pretty easy to get if you already have the organic. While the small generator produces 2 units per second, a medium one produces 9, so you can get a lot more power this way, and all you have to do is smelt the organic into carbon. I'm doing that with some portable smelting furnaces right here. They don't take up a lot of space, but at the beginning you can just use a normal smelting furnace, and that's alright. And you can see it's the same principle. I just have a bunch of plants lined up here with a bunch of tappers on them. I think I have way too many plants, to be honest, or not enough generators. And the auto arms grab the organic, put it right here, it gets smelted, and then it's used in all of these generators. I don't know how much power I have on these platforms, but if one of these produces 9 units per second, and I've got 28 of them active right now, I think that should be 252 units of power every single second from this. That's extremely good, and it's not that hard to build. And that's everything you need to know about power in Astroneer. If this was helpful, make sure to subscribe because I've got a lot more videos coming out. And if you want to see me build and fill up 100 large batteries, yes, that's more than 800,000 units of power, then you can watch this video that's on screen right now. I've been Games for Life, and I'll see you there. Cheers, Astroneers!